Amber and Vinny, you couldn't quite make it to the final leg on the Amazing Race, but I think Vinny, you did your best to make up for that by giving Amber another prize on the mat. So, Amber, I'm going to talk to you first. How shocked were you by that Amazing Race proposal?
I mean, I think you could see it on my face. Like my aunt messaged me last night. She was like, I could tell how surprised you were by like your jaw dropping. Cause I was literally like, and then I was like, no, no. And then I'm like, wait, I didn't mean no, like no, the proposal. I'm just like in shock. And then like when it was happening, I think I blacked out because I don't really remember what you said. All I saw was you getting on one knee, and like I saw Darren and Jen with their personal cameras out, and I was just like, what is going on? Like y'all are being so weird right now. And I'm like, something's happening. And I felt it. And then you got down on one knee, and I was just like, makes sense.
Well, that was a pretty big swing of emotions going from elimination to engagement. So, Vinny, when did you know you wanted to do that? Like, did you have the ring the whole race, just waiting for that final match? Or were you just waiting to see, like, do I want to get married on this race?
Gosh, as we were getting through, we're all just having second guesses. No, totally joking. For me, actually, so our journey was with the whole engagement was a long time ago because we were supposed to be we're applying to season 34. Then we didn't get on. We were re-asked and invited to go apply to 35. And then 35 was switched to 36. Yeah. So I mean, this journey for me, once I knew I was on the race, and I don't know if it was even about the race, but I went up to my mom and I said, Mom, I think that I am going to propose to this woman. I'm just learning how much I love her and all the things that she provides for us as a team. And so she goes upstairs, and this was like in early 2022. She goes upstairs and she comes down, and she comes down with a diamond ring, like a whole different ring than she has right now. And she hands this to me and she says, This is Lola's ring, which is my grandma. And so this diamond ring was passed down from generation from my grandma to my mom, and now my mom to her. And so she said, I want you to repurpose this ring and put that on Amber's, and that was her way of really showing her acceptance to the family, and that felt like so comforting. And so to answer your question, this whole journey was so long ago, and I just told myself, some point on this race, I'm going to get down on one knee. I don't know when, because there was this time in Argentina where everybody was on the mat, and Phil and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, this might be it. And I felt it in my heart. I was like, this might be the one. This might be the moment. And then Phil looks at me and he raises his eyebrows and he's like, does anyone have anything else to say? And I was like, and I was like stuck.
Because Phil knew that he was going to propose at some point, and the whole production team knew.
Right.
Because they had to help him orchestrate, because we only had one backpack. And so when we were like getting our things checked, they had to separate me from him to get our things checked.
Right. So when we're getting a check-in and doing the onboarding, I mean, they're taking apart your backpack, looking at every little thing that's in there to make sure it's all approved items. And I was like, guys, you can't do that while we're together. So I had to talk them through, and they had created a whole production strategy to be able. Impressive. Oh my God. Can I tell you, do we have a second to tell you a story what happened right before I proposed?
Oh yeah.
So then if you remember, we have to, at the very end, right before the mat, we got to cross this water channel on the kayak. And you saw Rod and Letitia flip over, right? And so right before that, for us, they're like, Vinny, we need your backpack. I need your knapsack and your backpack. And I was like holding on to this thing like for dear life. I was like, no, you can't. And I mean, at that day, I told myself, I am going to ask her to marry me regardless of what happens today. Because I said to myself, I don't want it to be, if we make it to the top three, I don't want it to be overshadowed or a part of the energy of the top three. Yeah. I wanted it before the top three so I could really just make her feel all the special feels and really just kind of do it justice. And so I told everybody, she went to the bathroom and I told everybody, the cast, the production team, and I just reminded them, like, guys, today I'm doing it. It's happening. And so
Shane like just screamed, and Vincent was like, she's in the bathroom.
Yeah. So I get this, they're trying to take this backpack and I'm literally holding on. They ultimately take it from me because we can't go across the water. So we get across and I'm thinking like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, do I pick up a piece of a string or try to make something up? And I get to the mat and I just blurt out like without knowing and try to slide it in. Phil, I don't know. I was like, Phil, I need my backpack. And he like picked it up like a smooth criminal. And he just made it seem like it was a production issue. Mics were messed up. We got to do a retake. He handed Amber a coconut drink and it was like, go take a break real quick. He slides the ring in my hand. I'm just like, and we go back to the mat and I'm like, I can't believe he just did that without Amber knowing.
You know what I thought? I thought that I know they said there was going to be no non-elimination rounds, but for some reason, something in me just felt like, are we like not eliminated? Like, is something is being really like, I don't know. I was like catching on to something, but it wasn't like that you were going to propose to me.
No. And
Like
so
it was a
when
mega
I,
leg.
Huh?
Like you were gonna hit another mega leg or something.
Yeah, it's just like something doesn't feel right. Like Phil's being kind of weird, but he's also like making it seem like there's some audio issues, and I had no idea it was like a proposal. So
yeah.
you still surprised me.
So to be able to like watch it last night, like just as she did, I blacked out myself. Like I don't remember what I said because I was just so anxious. I had so many feelings. And honestly, I think that contributed to my inabilities to that day. We struggled with the drinks. They didn't show that, but we struggled with the drinks. And I swear I was pouring whiskey in every drink. It was like, dude, we need tequila. What are you doing?
And he was not thinking at all. And it makes sense. He had a proposal in his head, not making drinks or finishing this detour. I don't know. Like, you were just off.
I was so off that day.
How far behind were you when you got to the mat in fourth place? I mean, did you know you were done? Like, and do you know how far back you were?
So we actually, okay, so I don't know why I thought this, but there was an extra doom buggy, right?
Yeah.
With a clue.
Right.
And we're like, why are there two doom buggies? Like one for us and then an extra one. And I was in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, did Leticia not do the roadblock?
That's what weird.
Did she like take the penalty or something?
Because we knew she had to do everything.
We never saw her. We never saw her doing the stand-up sailing challenge. And so that's what I was thinking. And I was like, there's still hope. There's still hope. And then I see Ricky and Cesar at the pit stop. And I'm just like, well, we're either last or Rod and Leticia aren't here. I don't know.
And to answer your question, I think how long did it take to get across the water channel? Because we got into our boat and we were seeing them getting almost about to get off the kayak.
We were really close.
Yeah, I would say maybe
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5-10 minutes maybe.
Leticia was the MVP of that leg. I mean, who knew she could kill windsurfing like that and pour drinks. I mean, that was her shining moment of the season.
I was so proud.
What were your thoughts on Ricky and Cesar winning and having to deal with them all season long? Was it just like one eye roll after another eye roll? Like, how do we get rid of these guys? Because you thought you had that moment in the car where you're like, the dragon can be slayed. You thought you could maybe get them, but I mean, they were just unstoppable.
They really were unstoppable. And I think that's why we kind of had this little, we didn't have a formal alliance with Juan and Shane and Rod and Leticia, but there was moments where we were like, guys, we gotta like come together. We gotta do something to get Ricky and Cesar out, because if we get to the top three, like, I don't know.
Because we really wanted to test them in a different position than the front of the pack. You know, that's a whole different energy. There's a whole different level of stress and pressure. It's very different than being in the back of the pack. And so we wanted to test them and see, hey, can we work together as a team to maybe knock them down, to be able to start maybe a cascading effect where, yeah, you got to fight when you're in the back. You're tooth and nail for every little minute. But when you're in the front, you got those 15 minutes. It's so hard to catch up. But on top of that, like Ricky and Cesar are just impeccable racers.
Yeah.
Just their relationship, their communication, their abilities to calm their mind during those high levels of stress were just, in my opinion, possibly unmatched in the history of the Amazing Race.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody race as well as them, I don't think. And if they get asked back on an all-star season, watch out.
Yeah, like I put them up with the Cowboys.
Justin and
The-
Diana.
Justin and Diana, like some of the best racers of all time. They belong to be up there.
Yeah.
How hard was it to watch back all of the fighting, the arguments? I mean, you guys have gotten some heat online, which I hope you can like get out of your minds and not pay attention to, because no one wants people judging them from a TV. You know, they don't know what's going on in real life, but they show the fighting. So what's that edit like, and seeing that and you're like, oh no, especially because it was so long ago.
I think it was just hard for me to, like, I know that we have struggles and I know we have disagreements, but just to see it like a constant fighting, I just felt like it was not like that when we actually raced. I didn't feel like we were constantly fighting. So I did feel like they only put in the fighting and they left out some of the other like happy moments, good stuff. But it's okay. I think they had a story and they told the story they wanted to tell, and
Yeah.
it's okay.
When you're
for me,
oh, go ahead.
for me, it was we talked about this morning. It was actually such a blessing, right? Like, yeah, we all have struggles. The realities of relationship and the struggle of love and life together. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. And anyone who's been in a relationship long enough will know that that is the truths of it. But in that, regardless of that, going through that experience, like I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't take it back because it really opened up our eyes to a whole different reality that we didn't see. It's like hearing yourself on the phone for the first time.
Mhm.
You don't really. You're like, oh gosh, is that how I sound? You know, and you're just like, is okay. So now I'm understanding some of these past experiences that we've had where we clashed. I can understand now why, because you get to see yourself in third person.
Yes.
And so then there's just a whole different level of self-awareness. And I feel that I've been so enlightened to see myself struggle like that and how we navigate it organically. I am extremely proud of our authenticity. Like we told ourselves, we do not want to act like cameras are on us. We want the world to see and normalize what true relationship looks like. But it was such a cool experience to see myself. I mean, I didn't enjoy being like the villain of the season, right? But at the same time, it was kind of cool. I've never been a villain before. So I was like, oh, so this is how Joker feels when everyone hates him, you know?
Well, you guys made it all the way up until the last leg, which was in Philadelphia. So you can go to Philadelphia anytime you want. So you got to travel all over to all these different places. Did you feel like you got to like take anything in, or is there any place you visited where you're like, we need to go back there and explore more? Because is it too stressful to appreciate the situation you're in?
I think people ask me what my favorite country was, and I feel like I say Colombia because it was the only country where we could fully be present in two situations. It was the paragliding, where we could not race. We literally just had to sit there and enjoy, take it all in
for a long period of time. And then that boat ride.
The boat ride, El Guatape.
Yep.
After we climbed the rock. We were on the boat, and that was really cool too, to kind of take in the surroundings. But
Beyond that, you're
moment,
thinking of the next moment, and you really can't be present. So to answer your question, every country, we're very well traveled. We're going to go back to every country and really get to experience all of it the way that we would want to curate our life, not the way that the Amazing Race and the pressure cooker of all that stress. I feel like that we lost like 5 years of our life. I've grown so many gray hairs because of it. It's like so stressful and very, very hard. And if anyone is ever going to be on the race, I would say slow your mind down, try to be present as much as you can, because it's going to be damn near impossible to do.
Well, congratulations on making it to the final episode and almost that final leg, and good luck with everything moving forward. And thanks for chatting with Gold Derby today.
Thank you,
Dan. Good to meet you.
Have a good day.